So I'm on the way to my first ever personal training session. Apologies in advance for the road noise. Okay, I'm just going to talk. So I turned 50 in about 3 months. I've struggled with my weight pretty much all of my life. Wow, didn't expect the emotion about this topic. This story I'm about to tell you. When I was going into the 8th grade, my family and I moved from a county school into the city, and so I changed school systems. Previously, I played what we called pee-wee football, 7th, 8th grade football. Well, when I moved to the city, I didn't go into, pursue playing football that year. I was a big football fan, decided to try out for the football team as a freshman. I started football practice. It was tough, particularly the conditioning part. I did okay, and there was guys out there that were like getting sick and passing out, and I didn't do any of that. I'd made it like a week. But then Friday came, and the coaches announced, okay, after we do this drill or whatever, we're going to hit the weight room. Y'all, I was so scared to go to the weight room. I'd never been in a gym or any place to do strength training, and the thought of going in there terrified me because I saw myself as weak, and I just could, hear that there would be guys like busting on me about not knowing what I was doing and stuff like that. So in retrospect, I should have went in there and asked the coaches to teach me. I tried to sneak to my car, which I did. I don't know how well I snuck there, but and drove home. Well, I came back to practice, say that Monday, or maybe it was on a Saturday, I'm not for sure. And at the end of the practice, they said, okay, the following people stick around to run laps because I'm missing out on weight training. And there was 3 of us. And they ran our asses off. Man, I didn't know what was going to happen after that, but I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I decide to stick with this, I'm never missing weight training again because this is brutal. But even then, out of the 3 guys who skipped, I finished the laps just fine. The other guys, I think, got sick and had to stop and get water, and I did it fine. But I was blown up. I was pretty winded. So I'm heading to the car, and this senior who was basically going to head to college as a lineman, offensive lineman. As I walked to my car, he came up, put his arm around me. He said, man, don't give up. Just keep coming back. You'll be fine. You're going to make it. Whew. Dang, y'all, this is 30 years ago. I should have told that senior. In that moment, I should have said, man, I missed the weight training because I've never been in a weight room. Would you show me around? I should have asked for help in that moment. But there was part of me that was not the kind of person that would ask for help. I wanted to show that I could do everything on my own, which makes no sense because that's assuming you are going to know everything and can find everything. And it's not like back then. If I was a teenager now, I'd probably come home and search YouTube for what to do first time in a gym or what to do the first time in a weight room. But I came home, and I think it was not so much having to run the laps as it was just the embarrassment that I had skipped the weight room and still not wanting to go back. I could, this is so crazy talking about it because it sounds so illogical. There was going to be no way getting around going to the weight room, and I was just terrified. And like I said, I didn't even ask for help from any coaches or anything. So I quit. And I had been so proud. I was walking around in my, practice uniform, helmet on, in the house when I first got it, so excited, and I quit. Well, fast forward to the first week of school, which is also the first game, and I'm in the cafeteria line, and the head football coach comes up to me, and he had not really talked to most of us new players. Mostly it was, position coaches and those kind of things. But he came up to me and he said, hey, won't you consider rejoining the football team? mean, I'm a tall guy, broad shoulders, and, I'm sure he was thinking, this guy could be a good, and, he just could have been trying to encourage me just in general, as a lot of good men do. Anyway, I quit a game I loved and missed out on having teammates and having the thrill of accomplishing something as a team. I missed out on organized sports, which would have, I think, helped keep me in shape. So I was overweight. I don't think I even went into the obese category while I was still in, say, high school. I made a concerted effort in my junior year to lose weight, and I lost quite a bit before I went off to college. Went off to college, gained the standard freshman 15, but then I started running in my sophomore year in college. Well, it was more of a jog, but I was running nonetheless, and lost quite a bit of weight and got down to pretty good weight. And then I slowly put some of that back on during my junior and senior year as I got into my upper level courses and did my internship. And then I started graduate school immediately after and made a commitment to really, getting in shape. And I lived in these apartments where there was a little small pool, and I'd actually get up every morning before sunrise, jump in that pool first thing, during the summer months while it was open. Spring, summer, and fall in Alabama, you can get in the pool. Then would go running, and I would run like 3 to 4 miles. And I got in really good shape. And I don't mean I was like, I couldn't have ran a half marathon, or maybe even, I probably could have ran a 5K and been fine. I didn't do that much strength training. In fact, in my effort to lose weight, I'd really cut protein out of my diet. And my hair was falling out in the shower, and I went to the doctor, and he was like, so you're on a diet, have you been eating protein? And I had not. I'd been really, on that point, I was focused on low fat, and so I just really been staying away from much protein and was eating just a lot of vegetables. I did lose a lot of weight, was in good shape. Then I got out of school and started full-time work as a social worker, and I went into child welfare work as investigating, or as we would say, assess child abuse and neglect complaints. That was a really stressful job. It's a tough job. The average work week for a public child welfare worker is 60 hours. I had let taking care of myself fall by the wayside, basically ate my emotions, and put back on a substantial amount of weight. At one point when I was running during graduate school, I got down to below 200. I think I was like 195 or something like that, and wearing a size 38 waist. That's the smallest I've been during my adult life. Basically, my weight has fluctuated quite a bit. I've got graphs of it in the last, say, 10 years because of technology. But about 5 years ago, maybe it was 6, for about 6 months, I went on a plant-based diet. I cut out animal products out of my diet. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not even endorsing it as the best way to do anything. I saw a documentary, Forks Over Knives, that really influenced me. But let me just tell you, during that time, I lost a great deal of weight, a healthy amount of weight. I guess about 30 pounds in 6 months, which was reasonable weight loss. And I was not counting calories. And I basically could anything that was plant-based, I was trying to cut out sugar and as much oils as possible. Mainly, I just focused on eating vegetables, because when you can't eat animal products, you got to eat something. So I would have cereals and beans and lots of greens. Did a lot of green smoothies. I felt great. Normally would wake up with like stuffiness, like a head congestion, but while on that plant-based diet, not eating any animal products, all that went away. I would wake up in the morning feeling great, having energy. And other than getting over sort of withdrawals initially, I wasn't hungry because I could eat any plants I wanted to. This is not an excuse, it's just the reality of what was going on at the time. It was really hard for me to stick with that because my daughter was still young. It was hard for my wife and I to know what to fix for the family when I was trying to eat plant-based, and my daughter at that time was not really, it was just sort of chicken nuggets and pepperoni pizza or cheese pizza. Now, fast forward, my daughter is a vegetarian. She's not a vegan, but she's a vegetarian. And so all the excuses are gone. It'd be much easier to do all that. Anyway, so for the first time, I'm going in to see a trainer. I'm really intimidated, and I'm getting a little triggered thinking back to quitting high school football because of being scared of the weight room. But I'm 50 now, so a lot of those hang-ups are out of the way. Still plenty of there to work through, but I'm basically now, able to know when it's, cut through my own BS. Anyway, I'm here outside the gym area. So I'll let you know when I come out how it went, what the experience was like, and sort of what the takeaways are and next steps and things like that. I just completed my first personal training session. First one was like 75% assessment and then about 25% of actual working out. And Blake is my personal trainer's name. I asked him if I could call him Balake. Some of you get that reference. He said it's even worse because his middle name is Aaron, so he's Balake Aaron. Shout out Key and Peele if you don't know the substitute teacher skit. So I got on this scale that had little metal thingies at the bottom to put your heel and I guess the ball of your foot on, and also these little handles to grab that had the same little, I guess, conductive things or whatever. So it measures how much water, how much like lean mass, how much fat, that kind of thing. We discussed different nutrition approaches, and what we settled on is me definitely counting my protein and my total calorie intake. He wanted me to get a gram of protein for every gram of muscle mass I have. He also wanted me to stay at my BMR in terms of total calories so that I'm not losing muscle mass, but also to make sure some kind of hormone keeps secreting, so that, if that's the right word, if I still have some hormone that assists with burning fat. So yeah, that's what we're gonna that's the two nutrition goals to focus on, is the total calorie intake and then the total grams of protein. After we did all that and he asked about my goals, like what I wanted to focus on in terms of my work with him, in terms of goals I'm trying to achieve, the main thing I mentioned was losing 10% of my body weight. Of course, that's where I want to start. The exercise we did something called Trx Bands. So they were attached to the wall, and you kind of lean back into a sort of a squat, and then came up in the squat while also doing a row, which I really liked because it kept my knees behind my ankles, and also it allowed me to use my upper body strength to support my lower body, because my hips are starting to give me some problems just in terms of pain and discomfort, and also my knees, and so that really helps with that. Then we also did something called a pelvic raise, I think. Like I laid on my back and then just had to sort of push my pelvis, up in the air. The hard things were the dead bug, where you basically laid on your back, held both arms straight up, both knees kind of up, legs folded, and then alternated sides, like right arm, left leg, both out, and then the other side. Those were tough. Mostly they turned my legs to jello. But there was also the brain part of it, just trying to focus on alternating sides, like it was sort of that, walk and chew gum at the same time, or, rub your belly and pat your head or whatever. He actually said that he felt like that half-hour sessions would be better for me, like more frequent half-hour sessions than 1 hour sessions, which I actually like because, well, one, they're not as long, but secondly, because that requires me to come more days. And honestly, it's a bit of a hassle for me to come to the gym in terms of just the time it takes out of my day, distance I have to drive. I'm not using that as an excuse. That's not going to stop me. But I'm just saying I drive like 30 minutes to get there. It's 30 minutes, both ways. My truck is not very good on gas, even though it should be, because it's a Honda Ridgeline, but it's not. A lot of gas expense and time getting down there, but it's worth it. I'm really proud of myself for following through and going to that first appointment. And my next appointment is on Wednesday. This is Monday when I'm filming it. I got to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to it. Like, there's that anxiety bit of like, it's not that I'm scared that it's going to be hard in terms of like physical exertion. It's just, I don't like that feeling I have when I get like super dizzy and feel like I'm about to go down on the floor. Like, I don't like that. I just don't like those moments when it gets scary. So as long as I know that I'm, it's just tough in terms of a physical thing, and I don't have that fear set in of, oh my gosh, you're about to have a heart attack, or you're about to, pass out and hit your head or whatever, So that's mental, right? That's, so even when that happens, I just have to realize, that's a mental battle, and that I have to push that fear out of my mind. And, if I feel like I need to stop and take a breather, I can do that. So anyway, yeah, good overall. I'm feeling pretty good about it. That's the first impressions of a first session with a personal trainer, albeit like a 15-minute session in terms of the actual work. So we'll see what a full 30-minute session looks like on Wednesday. Hey, I'm filming this on the way to my third personal training session. Would have recorded on the way to the second session, but my wife was with me, so we were just talking. And I started not to record this today, but I actually find that talking through this helps me get my mind right and getting there. Yeah, I don't feel great today. I didn't sleep well last night. I'm kind of nauseous. I got a sore throat, a little bit of nasal congestion. I checked my temperature. I don't have a temperature, so kind of a pit in my stomach. Last time, what we did is warmed up on the treadmill, did like 4 different stretching exercises, and then we went in and started out with like seated dumbbell presses overhead, sitting down, legs out straight, toes pointed up. I alternated between that one and kind of like when you're on all fours and then you kick out like your right leg and push out your left arm and then alternate. I want to say we probably did like 3 sets of each or something like that. Then there was one where exercise band against the wall, a Trx band, stand perpendicular to the wall and grab the band, walk out until you can feel it start to pull you back towards the wall. And then you just are pressing straight out in front of you, so you're resisting that turn, trying to hold in your abs and your glutes. Alternate that with that same, kick out the right leg, throw out the left arm thingy. Went over to I forget what he called it, he used an acronym, but basically as many reps as you can do, or as many reps as you can complete, or as many reps as you can stand, something like that. But basically just kind of finishing on a high cardio thing with sort of this, I guess it's like a little circuit, I don't know, but did stepping up onto like a 6-inch mat, on and off, on and off, on and off. And then down into a seated position, squat, up with the kettlebells and press overhead. I'm really impressed with a couple things. One, his ability to give me these exercises that are not putting too much stress on my knees or my hips, but are definitely working the muscles around the hips so that it's strengthening those tissues around there. So eventually the hips and the knees are stronger for it. I just thought there's no way I can do squats, but you do a squat that way where you get like a seat about halfway down. It's much easier to do. The second thing I'm impressed by is the fact that the movements are not wasted. They're really efficient. These exercises tend to be focused on different parts of the body at once, right? It's like a whole body exercise. So for example, doing the squat and pressing overhead at the same time is obviously working both the legs and the upper body. Did great the second day. I was proud of myself when I got finished. I don't know if he's going to turn up the heat a little bit today on me, or if we're going to be kind of doing the same thing, but yeah, I just feel cruddy. And but I got a shower, shaved, trying to get my mind in the right position to come ahead and do this. But even though I feel bad, there's part of me that wonders at how much of it is a mental battle. There's the mental battle you're aware of. Then, I kind of feel like there's a mental battle that you're not aware of, a mental battle that you don't really you're not fully in touch with. So in other words, like that maybe psychosomatically your head is psyching out your body and making your body feel bad. Oh, you're sick, you blah, blah, blah. I never considered not going. And like part of what's going on in my headspace right now is, oh, this is going to suck because you feel like crap. There's also the possibility that I do it and I actually feel better after I do it. I think the key here is to turn off every other bit of noise and just focus on, taking care of me for the next hour or so. That's what's important, and everything else can wait. The third thing that impressed me about the workouts we did is I turned on an app on my watch, the Zones app on Apple Watch, what range my heart rate was in at the time. And there's a red zone that's the upper level, then there's an orange zone that's kind of the aerobic level that you want to be in. I was impressed every time I would look down, even at the end of when I felt like I was had just done a really difficult exercise and that my heart was pounding, it was in that orange zone. then at the end when we did that, you know, do as many as you can do or do as many as you can stand or whatever it was called, I looked down at the, you know, about midway through it, and it was in the red. And so I just asked the trainer, I said, hey, you know, I'm completely fine. If this is okay. I was just asking you, you know, this is stayed orange the whole exercise, now it's in the red. Is that okay? Should I slow down if it's red? He said, no, this is kind of the purpose of this part, is to, you know, really peg out, like red line your heart during this last bit. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I just continued and didn't, you know, look at my watch after that. I just finished out the exercises and finished out the workout. All right, second full session. Yeah, y'all, I felt like crap this morning, and right now I feel great. I mean, maybe when you do all that other stuff, I don't know, you put all that other stuff out of your mind. I don't know, but I feel good. Need to get there just a tad bit earlier so I can go ahead and get the little bit of warm up on the treadmill and then the 4 stretches. And I noticed my mind kind of trying to trick me, saying, hey, well, you know, you were late. That just means you'll start the workout a little later and it'll be over quicker, which as I always tell my college students are the only consumers happy with getting less than they paid for. I guess you might could add personal trainees to that list, and prison inmates. Yeah, so I noticed myself trying to BS myself a little bit. So if you remember when I talked about changing the channel name to Take Care, man, I mentioned also taking care to watch out for traps. This one I'm talking about is like taking care to watch out for how you trap yourself or BS yourself or fool yourself or try to fool yourself, being able to know what that looks like. That way you can sort of head it off when it starts to happen. Pretty proud of myself for coming ahead and doing it. My wife and I are trying to get out of debt, and me going to personal training was not a part of our financial plan, and it's pretty expensive, but you know, so is not being in good shape. Today we added a few new exercises. Leg raise, so you're raising your leg up and then slowly lowering it down. Raise the leg up, slowly lowering it flat on your back. What's hard for me is the focus on engaging the core while doing like a leg or an arm thing or whatever. And then we went over and we did these standing one-sided row. So you had this band out in front of you and you were pulling it. It was perpendicular to it and you were pulling it around like you were rowing an oar. Did those both sides, and then went and did these deadlifts with a kettlebell. And then for the like high intensity little thingy at the end, 20 sit-ups. And then I did a different kind of squat lift thing, but you're not really lifting with your back or arms or anything. You're popping your hips forward, you're swinging the kettlebell. So it's almost like a center snapping a football and then driving into the nose tackle or one of the defensive tackles. I got somewhere to be this morning. Whew, at 9:40ish. And I also have a lot of work to do at home. But I decided that there's nothing more important than my health. And so I'm out here walking for about 25-30 minutes. We're at 17 minutes now. So, gotta do what you gotta do to get healthy.